She said, get out the chat room and clean my Glad stretch. Feeling fine, so fresh.
The Glad Girl Group coming at you with a throwback jam. That was Glad Force Flex Drawstring Trash Bags featuring Pine Sol Original Scent. And that's better than all good. It's all Glad.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, however you're watching, wherever you're watching, however you listen, wherever you listen. It's the Bet Online Salute Detroit podcast, and we got the tripod here, rolling through the dog days of summer, trying to bear the heat. How hot is it where you are, Jamal?
It's it's getting there. It's not terrible, but certainly it's all t-shirt and shorts weather for sure, Coach.
How is it in the San Gabriel Valley, Ryan?
101, I think. So pretty close to you. I went for a run finally after taking 2 weeks off and did not go well. I'll just say that.
104 is what my car topped out. I went from downtown LA to where I live in Corona. It went from 87 to 95 to 104. Jeez. So it is hot. Other than that, Madman, how are you doing on this wonderful Monday?
Doing well, Coach. Great to see you. Great to see Rye. Always a pleasure, and excited to start the week off with Trojan ball. I mean, what could be better?
Ryan, how are you doing?
Yeah, echo that. Great seeing you both. Hope the weekend was well and relaxing, and yeah, some good news to get into on this hot Monday.
We do have some good news. We have two good news. We have two good things to talk about. With that being said, Carde Smith rang the bell, jumped on the boat, the back signal went out. He's not officially a Trojan, but he has officially committed to the University of Southern California. Offensive lineman from Alabama. We're going deep south now. We're going way deep in the south. Offensive tackle. I had his numbers up and I lost them. Is it 6'2", 290?
Bigger.
What was it?
6'5", 300, 6'6", 295, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, I was looking at the wrong guy. All right. 6'6", 300.
Yeah.
6'6", 300. What I did see is, and that's the difference, and then this is what I want you guys to look at. Not you guys, but when I say you guys, I'm talking to people we're talking to in the podcast. Look how he moves and look how the other kid moves, the big basketball player kid that I said is a front side guy and he doesn't move very well. Both big guys, both 300-pounders. Carde Smith can run. Carde Smith can move. Carde Smith is athletic. That is a left tackle. You get what I'm saying? Like, that is the big difference that I'm talking about when I say it. I know people like, oh, you're too hard. Like, I'm evaluating from those types of things. Carde Smith, you can run, tackle, counter, and go out and get something full side. Carde Smith has very fluid hips. When Carde Smith gets up, he could get up with a great hip bend. This is an athlete, and this is something good in the making. This doesn't surprise me because the O-line has been stacking for a while. This O-line is going to be really good. We have something really, really brewing here. The only thing is that, and I'm going to say this again, and I'm going to keep reiterating this, we're now in a waiting game and a patient game and waiting for these kids to become juniors and sophomores. It's not going to happen overnight. It's unfortunate, and this kid won't even be on campus until next summer, right? If we get him to ink it in December. Got to keep him happy. The same thing I'm always going to say. We got to keep him happy. But a get like this changes everything, and it makes us better in the Big Ten because he's a big body that can move. So size is no longer an issue. But now we're going to try to out-athlete the big guys in the Big Ten, which I totally agree about. Ryan, what do you think about this get?
Yeah, glad it finally officially. I think this was the one that back in like June was a verbal, and then now he officially announced today. So great to see it come throughout the summer. He said in his commitment thing that I thought it was interesting. Like, these kids definitely are hearing the noise about everyone talking about them chasing money, and he specifically said, like, people will say this is about NIL, but that's not everything. Like, USC felt like home. called Lincoln Riley the best head coach in college football, and Coach Henson, when he watched film with him and just talked X's and O's, it just felt like the best spot for his development. So clearly had an impression. He said him and his mom just felt an immediate like connection to this place. And obviously he was, at the time when he was here on June 21st, he was committed to Auburn and decommitted right after his visit and verbalized he was committing, and then obviously officially announced today. So, but no, I mean, you said it, great player. We'll see how his senior year goes down in Mobile. And obviously it'll be up to Coach Henson and the rest of the staff and this current offensive line to prove, what they're building in real time. And so that he wants to come here and keep stacking bricks and stay alongside. But he's a great athlete, great size for what they're trying to build here for Big Ten offensive line, and certainly checks all the boxes in that regard. So, another great get, keep stacking this 25 class. And these are the ones, that feel more real coming in August and not March. So it seems like this is one, but hopefully they'll, obviously now you got to prove it in your fall play. And obviously NIL will play a factor, which we'll get to in a bit, which looks to be in a much better spot. So yeah. Great commitment.
Man, you're up.
Yeah, no, really well said. I think, again, Coach, like we said, 6'6", 300, at that age to be that size, that weight. And then when you sort of add on to that, the agility, there's a twitchiness to him, the really great lateral movement. So you're talking about the makings of an absolutely elite athlete from Mobile, from, 4-star, 16th best offensive tackle prospect in the class of 2025. You're talking about, obviously he was verbal to Auburn, but then the likes of Florida State, the likes of Georgia were also heavily recruiting him. So to be able to beat those programs, one that won 2 of the last 3 national championships, the other that was in the playoff last year, to be able to beat those quality of programs for Carde's services, I think is really significant. And then when you talk about what this class of 2025 is starting to look like at the offensive line position, when you look at Carde Smith, when you look at the likes of a Vicona, I mean, you're talking about guys that are 6'6", 6'7", 300 plus. I mean, these are grown men, multiple grown men, at the age of 16 years old. So future is very, very bright. Again, the emphasis on the trenches, you got to love it. And, getting ready to establish a certain type of play in Big Ten football for years to come. So nothing not to love. And hopefully he sticks. But I think to Ryan's point, when you get them later in the year, it does feel more real. But obviously other poachers are coming, so you can never relax. But a great day and a great recruiting victory.
Somebody told me at work today, they were like, man, it's already August. You're going to blink and it's Christmas. That's what we want in this situation.
Sure.
We need
absolutely.
We needed to blink and we need legit to Jamal say, yeah, I'm on vacation right now, because in this industry, they do the Christmas break. So we know if we get to there and Carde Smith is still a Trojan, he will be officially a Trojan at that point in time, and we could get him on campus in the summer. So that's all good. So we need a blinking Christmas in this situation, especially with all of our 26 guys. I don't know off the top of my head. So where are we at for the 20? This is a 25 guy. I'm sorry, I said 26. I'm thinking of the other guy we were talking about before. 25. Have we moved up in the class, or have we moved? Or are we still about the same?
Last I checked, they updated. I mean, basically all 3 of the main 247 on 3, and rivals have them between 15th and 18th class.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. That's surprising. So we dropped down that far when we lose 2 guys. We gain 2 more guys that are the same stars, and see, they hate us. They hate us because they ain't us, and it's all good.
Well, Coach, just to sort of clarify, Carde is a 4-star. The guys we lost were 5, but yes, to your point, it is. I think it's so hard to get 5s. Even the best recruiting classes get like 5 5s or 4 5s. So if you get a 5, you get 2 5s, you lose 2 5s. That can kind of really move the needle. A lot of the elite recruiting classes, but even all the way down to like top 20, you're stacking with 4s, right? So 4s are a little bit easier to get. So now if Carde balls out, this year, and who's to say he can't become a 5, right? Definitely a lot of opportunity for movement up. But I agree with you. It does feel a little low at 15 to 18. This is starting to feel like a top 10 class and potentially even higher.
Yeah, and I think the ratings will move up a bit. I mean, once they compile, I mean, there's so much data and science they do with all these star ratings and who really there's some like minuscule differences, but
Sure. Yep.
when in reality, that after the top 5 to 20 is probably real similar, if we're being honest.
Thanks a lot, rivals. You started all this.
Yeah.
It's a great business.
Oh yeah.
It's a great business, guys.
Mr. Terry, doing well.
So let's backtrack. Last Wednesday, USC had a media day. Somebody asked Lincoln Riley, how do you feel about your collective? And I'm quoting now, but he was like, I don't like it. I love it. Basically, the quote, or he's like something like that. We know he's talking. We know the quote's been all around USC and USC social media.
I'm not happy with it. I'm thrilled.
I'm not happy with it. I'm thrilled. There we go. Thanks a lot, Ryan. I'm happy you're here. I'm thrilled you're here. There we go.
Thank you.
Not happy you're here. I'm thrilled you're here.
Thrilled to be
here. I can leave, gentlemen, if you need the room.
So, and it was kind of like foreshadowing per se. And I don't know if I could say this, Ryan, but we kind of have the inside edge of what's coming. Are we allowed to say that?
There's been conversations of stuff happening. Yeah. So
not us. Well, yeah. Well, there's been conversation stuff happening. We kind of knew it was going to happen. What was going to happen on Saturday? A story broke on LAFB network.com. And if you're not there and you haven't subscribed there, you need to go subscribe there because we're breaking stories way before. LA Times reported it today. Everybody's reporting it today. We had it 2 days in advance. I'm just going to brag on us for a second there. Hope you guys don't mind. But we had it 2 days in advance. We knew it was going to happen. A big merge happened between the two collectives at USC, which was a long time coming, way overdue. House of Victory and Conquest Collective have officially merged and are becoming one collective. So does it become the House of Conquest?
Saying House of Victory. Basically, Conquest is no more, and they're just becoming a part of House of Victory, yeah.
Oh, man, they settled. They said you can't negotiate and settle like that, man. You got to at least get your name in it. No, but they merged long overdue. So some questions I do have, Ryan. I don't know if you know the details. If you don't know the details, it's okay to say you don't know. I know they were two different types of contracts. What contract are they going to go with moving forward? The one that I don't remember them in complete detail, and please explain them for me. Are they going to go with the one that works, or are they going to go with the other one that was kind of shaky?
Hopefully the one that works. But no, I think you're alluding to that House of Victory was nonprofit and Conquest was for profit.
Yes.
I know that a lot of those details are still being worked on. The essential main detail right now that we've been told and everyone else has reported on too is that essentially Conquest is joining House of Victory. Jeff McKay and his dad, J.K. McKay, are joining the board of House of Victory. And then Jeff will continue and more so with House of Victory be a real spokesperson for the football team. He'll be helping on the negotiation side of contracts and how that works. But I don't know if you've heard anything, Jamal, but I don't know if it's going to be, they can both do nonprofit, for profit, or what's the actual business entity shifting. I'm assuming because they're joining House of Victory, it's remaining nonprofit would be my assumption, but I don't know for sure.
So is House of Victory a 503B?
I think 501c3.
501, whatever, the nonprofit tax code. Yeah. They're that one? Okay. Do you know? I didn't mean to cut you off, Jamal. Go ahead. Do you know?
No, I think Ryan said it best. Yeah, I think it's the language is a little interesting, and just in the sense, and I think Fred, you alluded to it. I don't know if I would call it a merger per se. I think Fred, you to your point, in mergers, it actually seems superficial, but the name does change or it does become sort of a combination because it's kind of two equal entities type coming together in some capacity, either in employee size or revenue or something. This feels more like House of Victory is kind of absorbing Conquest Collective, and it also feels like Jeff is really kind of sometimes you acquire companies or you scoop up organizations because you want sort of access to talent. And it feels like House of Victory really wants Jeff, and rightfully so. I think Jeff's a terrific guy and huge for USC on the partnership side, and just, given his pedigree and his name. So I think it feels like they're kind of absorbing Conquest Collective, and obviously the two McKays are going to be on the board. And I'm a big fan of this, of alignment and getting to a place of centralization. You need to be able to have kind of one place, one door, one front door. There has to be kind of a one-stop shop when you're talking NIL, so you can sort of allocate resources appropriately and you get the holistic picture. I think, to my knowledge, there's only one other sort of entity that's out there. They don't seem to be particularly active right now, but they are out there, which is the Tommy Group. Mm-hmm. And that's the one that's led by Keyshawn Johnson and John Terzian, and some other notable USC alums. So hopefully there'll be a decision soon as well with the Tommy Group, whether they decide to kind of feel like, hey, House of Victory is in a great spot, we got kind of our NIL all together, and let them do their thing. Or could there be yet another kind of absorption activity where Keyshawn and some of these other folks kind of get on the House of Victory board as well? So I think we're getting to that place where HOV is, the one preeminent place for NIL for USC. And I think that's the way it should be. So organizationally, I think another big day for the USC ecosystem.
And I think they foreshadowed this like the whole week too. They're like, oh, we love it, and everything's going great with our collectives and this and that. And we're all sitting here like, you guys are still behind the 8 ball a little bit. Like, you're not all the way there. But then also it's like, they don't have to tell us what they're doing. They're not a public institution, so we'll never know what they're doing unless we're on the inside. And
truthfully, Coach, not to cut you off, but even if you're a public institution in this particular space, you don't really need to reveal.
Oh, you don't?
Right? You don't, because these are separate entities from the university themselves. So, you can sort of play by your own rules here. Even a 501c3 doesn't have to disclose their financials. So,
that's
you
huge.
don't. So even public schools like, Cal, UCLA, others, they don't have to share what's going on behind the walls either.
We know who's funding Cal's. We know who's funding Cal's NIL.
That's a different show for a different day, Coach.
Go ahead, Ryan.
What I thought was a little interesting, though, in Jen Cohen's State of Troy that came out, I think it was Saturday also. It was the first time I had heard her or anyone refer to House of Victory as like the official NIL collective. So they've always been, and this doesn't necessarily change it, but it's always been referred to a third-party entity. But this is the first time where she called it the official NIL. So I don't know if that's a change at all or different or just interesting verbiage. But I thought that was interesting. They're officially like naming them their NIL collective. So
that's a great point, Ryan. I think it's foreshadowing the rev share piece, with players and with the university. I think they're starting to understand that in order to kind of do rev share is coming, and in order to sort of do this the best, I think you have to have your collective be partnered with the university and have a holistic picture, right? That's the hard part with these things, when you got silos and you got different organizations kind of doing different things, and you don't have the visibility. You don't know what money, who's it going to, how it's being spent, what the strategy is, and you have a bunch of these little guys with no visibility. That's when you become kind of suboptimal. So once you kind of have the visibility and everyone's tied together, that's when you can make the best decisions in terms of what players to go after, how much to give them, and how much to retain them. So I think she's kind of leaning into the fact that House of Victory is going to be the player with them, and rightfully so, right? I mean, that's also the one thing that I always kind of liked about House of Victory. There were other collectives that sort of started, whether it was like, if you guys recall, like Boulevard, and then, obviously there's the Tommy Group we refer to. There was a couple other groups. They were all kind of started by, let's call it kind of like the household name USC alums, like the athletes and the entertainers and all of that stuff. What I actually always appreciated about House of Victory is how they had like an advisory board and like a strategic board. And a lot of their strategic board was USC alums in KPMG and Deloitte, and a lot of the folks kind of more in corporate America to kind of give it a little bit more rigor. And I think in the end, that's sort of what won out. And I think what folks are kind of realizing is you kind of need that piece to sort of run the money. And then it's easier to kind of get the athletes and the famous alums to kind of come and join versus the other way around. So I think hopefully there's one last piece of the puzzle here with the Tommy Group, and then it'll be all, it'll be one big monopoly inside of House of Victory, which is what we want.
So let me ask this question, and I'm still ignorant to the whole NIL. This is what I do know. A lot of people are confusing. I know there is an NIL collective, but they're confusing the actual name and likeness with NIL, right? And this is what I say. This is what I say by this. If I go and I star in a commercial like Caleb Williams did last year. He was in the Dr. Pepper commercial. He was in that sports drink commercial or whatever, or like Tua's little brother. He was in the commercial with Tua. That money does not come from House of Victory. That money comes from Dr. Pepper or that sports drink or whatever commercial you're in. So if I go to the 9-0, Jamal, then this is for Ryan, the 9-0 too. If I go to the 9-0 and I say this is the official after game spot for USC Trojan Miller Moss, right? And Miller Moss has to do a 1-hour appearance at the 9-0 after every home game, right? The 9-0 pays Miller Moss for his name, image, and likeness. The NIL and the House of Victory, that's the part I don't understand. Are these just like them cutting checks to pay for play part? And if that's the case, what happens to when the people are wearing their jerseys and all the name, image, and like this stuff that's advertised around the school? Where does that money come from? And do they just cut the school a check and like, here you go, this is how you're going to pay the players? Or is it a direct check to the student? That's the part I don't know. Either one of you can answer. Maybe you guys could like also school the people who are listening and school me too, because I'm completely ignorant to it. I know the commercial part, but I don't know the collective part.
Yeah. So, you want me to answer, Jamal?
Right, you can go first. Yeah.
So, it's a great point. I think a lot of people think that it's a good collective is essentially doing both. I think a lot of players will have an agent or manager that will also get sponsorship deals, but a good collective, when they're drawing up a contract, is basically saying, we'll just say a top end player. Like, we're going to pay you X for X amount of appearances. On top of that, we will also get you 5 branding deals. So they will facilitate the branding deals. Now, obviously the brand will pay them themselves. It's not House of Victory paying them, but they're the one facilitating the deal, but they're also paying them a straight contract fee for X amount of appearances. And then there's a lot of other stuff sprinkled in there, but that's the really simple just breakdown. Is it literally is like they're writing up contracts, pay for play, plus getting branding deals. Like if you saw, there's been times when players have had like Mercedes-Benz advertisements on their social, like House of Victory set that up with Mercedes-Benz, but obviously Mercedes-Benz is who paid them. Conquest, like we were doing stuff with Conquest, where there was these social media brands that did video, like Brendan Rice did a video on his social. Conquest set that up, but it was actual Wilson Football that paid him. So it's more of a facilitator for the brands, but then an actual pay for play, if you will, with contracts.
So they're like the agent or the middleman, I guess you would say. Like if I was there, and I'll use the 9-0 example again. If I was there and the 9-0 said, hey, we want Alfred to sponsor the 9-0. All we want him to do is show up for an hour after a home game. We'll put his banner on there and all he has to do is on his Instagram say the 9-0 is the official after party for USC Trojans. I put it on my Instagram. They put the banner up for me. So that money comes from the 9-0, but it was set up through, at this point in time, House of Victory, who made that happen and made it possible for me. So my follow-up question would be, do these companies reach out to the players themselves, or do they have to go through the House of Victory? Because I have a follow-up question, and I'm going to tell you the reason why I don't like it, and it's a little shaky to me. So, like, do these companies reach out to the collectives, or do they reach out to the kids, and the kids have to go to the collective?
Yeah, I mean, Coach, the way I would sort of frame your question is, think of a collective as having 2 divisions. Okay, there's the bank division, and then there's the services division. And so the bank is literally, hey, we're drawing up an agreement for you to come to play at USC for X amount of dollars. Now, you could just get that X amount of dollars, as sort of a flat rate because you're so good, or it's a combination of you're getting paid and in exchange, you have to sort of make certain appearances, or in exchange for this money, you have to do sort of X, Y, and Z types of things, media related, community relations related, branding related, what have you. So that's kind of the bank is basically saying, okay, we have X amount of money. We're a bank for these players in terms of getting them money to come wear the USC uniform for us. In addition to that, you have the services piece where you say we've got our own in-house agents, PR people, partnership people, where for all of the players that are under this collective, we can go help them negotiate endorsements with third-party companies like the 90, like Nike, like whoever, and obviously allow the players to be able to get monetized in that way as well. So those are kind of the two ways you do it. Now, to answer your question, if there isn't something kind of legally drawn up that the partnerships have to come, the first point of contact has to be somebody on the collective, it can be both. You can have companies reach out to House of Victory wanting access to a player. You can have companies reach out to a player through an agent that's not part of House of Victory, or like a family business manager or a parent or a guardian, or you could have a company reach out to a player directly. So it's any number of ways that can happen unless it's sort of specified in a contract, which is also, I think, one of the reasons why somebody like a Jeff McKay is so valuable to House of Victory, because he's very experienced over the years, given just his sort of professional background in doing kind of strategic partnership deals. So that's why it's really important for House of Victory to have him on the board to be able to kind of make some of these arrangements happen.
That is scary. And I'm going to tell you why. I think that the NCAA should make it where it has to go through the collective, or it has to go through some governing body through the school. And let me tell you why. If I'm trying to create a business as a college student, clothing business or whatever it is, and then I advertise it, I have to pay. I have to get paid, right? So now I'm paying myself. That's like, it's in a way, I might be describing it wrong, but it's the money laundering thing where it's like I'm paying myself through the business, this and that, but I'm not doing it legally. And the reason why I say that is because these kids don't know. So they end up paying themselves illegally. Tax time comes. Now they're in the hole because they have to pay tax on this. From my understanding, they're 1099, right? If I'm not mistaken. Well, they're House of Victory.
In America, anytime you make money, you got to pay taxes on it.
Right. Right. So, and that's why I'm saying it's scary. And I'm saying it's scary for the sake of the kid, because the kid's like, oh, I have this T-shirt company. And if it's okay, can we wear these T-shirts before the game? And we'll pay all the players. And now I'm making a profit off of the T-shirt company because everybody's doing it. But then I don't do my taxes right. Now, all of a sudden, I'm in the hole $100,000 as a 19-year-old because I didn't do my taxes right. That's why I say it should go through, like you said, it should go through the services division for the House of Victory, because now they'll set you up with somebody like, all right, cool, we'll hook you up and we'll have you do everything for your T-shirt stuff. But this is how you need to do it. You need to file this, you need to file this, you need to file this, and this is how you need to file it. This is why I don't like the way that they did NIL and just let it a wild, wild west, because none of us knew at 19 years old what to do to start a business. Or if they do, very few. I shouldn't say none. That's a general statement. Very few people would know what to do, how to start a business at 19. Most of us don't know. We just in college trying to get a degree and have fun. And now all of a sudden we're making a lot of money because, all the Trojans are wearing these shirts. I want to wear this shirt too. But then Uncle Sam comes. Uncle Sam doesn't care about NIL. All Uncle Sam cares about is his cut so he could keep funding things that he needs to fund for the country to function. That's what I hate about this. And that's what I hate about this Wild Wild West thing. Like, it needs to go through. This is a good time to teach these players how to become pro athletes. And if you make it a rule, like, it has to go to the collective, and the collective has to make sure that the player does right. So if a kid does get hit with taxes, or he does his taxes wrong, he hits with a tax bill, gets in trouble, it goes back to the collective, because they're still students and they're still kids. You guys get what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense?
I get it. I don't think that's an NIL issue. I think that's more of a you're in school to learn, right? So that's just that you need to go and
That's a tough lesson to learn at 19.
ask someone, yeah. But if you're starting a business, like, I don't think that's necessarily on the NIL collective. That's on you to then do your homework and figure out how to run a business. And, USC is a good place to learn that. Pretty good education to learn how to do business. And you can probably go to the collective or go to the powers that be and get really good advice and help and whatnot. Because I get what you're saying, but yeah, I don't think that's an NIL thing. I think that's more of a just, being a kid and needing to learn and checking all your boxes off.
Yeah, and I agree, Coach, with Ryan there. I think that's also kind of what's happening too, right? I mean, I think that's one of the benefits of getting down to one collective, right? So you're not sort of mandating it, but you're allowing the market forces and the organizational forces to say, hey, this is why it kind of makes sense to have one collective. Because even if we have one of our players who's doing something off to the side and they have questions, rather than be overwhelmed by 12 or 15 different collectives, who do I go to? Who do I ask? I can just kind of go to House of Victory and say, I need help with this. And so I think that's also a really huge benefit. I think the challenge, though, Coach, with mandating anything in this space, much like fiscal policy in the country, not to get political in any way, is you always have to sort of guardrail for the exceptions. So, for instance, I'll give you an example. Caleb Williams last year, right? So Caleb Williams was such a big prospect, was such a big name as the Heisman Trophy winner, as the potential number one pick in the draft, the eventual number one pick in the draft, that Caleb Williams has his pick of any agent that he wants. And, whether that's and I'm dating myself, but, back in the day, whether it was like a Scott Boras, Drew Rosenhaus, Lee Steinberg, you pick your super agent, he was sort of that ilk, right? And so if you start mandating and saying, well, Caleb, you can only be represented by House of Victory, truth be told, House of Victory doesn't have the bench of some of those super agents, right? So how do you deal with kind of an exceptional case then with Caleb, right? The House of Victory structure is designed, much like education is designed for, the bell curve, right? The meat of the bell curve. Everyone who's sort of in the meat of the bell curve, but the Bill Gateses and the Steve Jobses and the Mark Zuckerbergs, they drop out because they're so exceptional, right? And it's the same thing here. The House of Victory is kind of designed for the average to above average, even a really above average prospect. But those superstars who can kind of demand their own networks, their own ecosystems, you can't really hold them back, right? So that's why it's always a challenge to do any sort of a mandatory policy.
So you're talking about everybody right at the zero on the bell curve, just to let people know. There's some people who may struggle with the bell curve, Jamal. Bell curve is everybody.
For sure.
And then there's the zeros.
The outliers. The outliers, right?
That's the best way to say it, the outliers, yep. Stats, one of the worst classes I ever took, but one of the best classes. Stats was one of the worst classes, but one of the best classes I ever. I learned so much, but it was so much work.
There you go. I'm very happy to hear you say that, Coach. That's a great class. Stats.
I think I failed business stats in college. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
pretty sure. Freshman
year. I actually got a B in stats. It was because I liked this so much. I loved it so much. It's okay, I get it, and my stats it was more for exercise science, but it was exactly the same thing. So it was the things that they gave you, 15 kids ran 23 laps. What is it? And then you did the statistics on them to see where they felt. So the R value and all that stuff. But that's a different
R
story.
Squared. Good. I never thought the chances of the R squared coming up on an episode tonight. Oh my goodness. That was a 3 sigma probability, Coach. Let me tell you. Okay.
So let's we went off on a tangent there, but let's get back to it. So thank you for that lesson. Like I said, I didn't know. I was still ignorant to it, and I appreciate you guys for that. I did not get your opinion, Jamal, on how did you talk about how you felt about the merging of the collectives?
Yeah,
You did?
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, he said it
all
was
for
good.
it. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, good deal. So yeah, see, we talked about a bunch of stuff. We covered a bunch of stuff. I want to touch on something real quick before we get out of here. We got a little bit more time. 24/7 crystal ball prediction for 2026 quarterback. Help me with his name because I closed
Ryder Lyons.
Ryder Lyons.
Ride or die Lions.
I wish he was a ginger so he could be Red Ryder Lyons.
California kid from Folsom High School. They're listening, Jamal. They're building a wall around California. 2026 is building a wall around California.
Thank you.
Ryder
You're
Lyons,
welcome, Lincoln. You're welcome.
So I seen him play last year in the state championship game. This kid is tough as nails. I don't know how he fits into Lincoln's system because he's a completely different style. But more than anything, we've seen Lincoln adjust multiple times between Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Caleb Williams. We've seen him adjust. That won't be an issue. But this might be the one time, other than Jalen Hurts, that you see design run out of this quarterback. I'm not taking away from his throwing ability. He can run and throw, but he is so productive in his run game. QB power read, quarterback read, those types of things. Like, he'll be productive, and he's really tough. 6'2", 210, I think was the stats that they had up on him. This will be a great ad. It makes sense. He's building. So we'll see what happens. We're not going to get too excited. We're not going to jump for joy if he commits in March. Prior to March, because March is not March. July 4th is our cutoff. So anything after July, we'll jump for joy if he commits. If he commits before, is it a leverage play? And that's the things that we see. A lot of kids are saying it's not about the money, but we'll find out. This is a little bit interesting situation, though, because we got Miller Moss, we got Mayava, we got the Big Ten Recruiter of the Year, Julian Lewis, right? So we're looking at this dude not playing class of 26. He'll play the 26. He'll be on the sideline 26 season. Julian will be in his second year, but hasn't played yet. He might not play until 27. Is he patient enough to not play until 28? 28. Yeah. He might not play until 28. Is he patient enough not to play until 28? That's the big question that he has to answer. And if not, he'll be off to the portal. Jamal, what do you think about this real quick? I know it's a 26. Just real quick. What's the guns on it?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's, he's a top-notch kid. I think we talked off air, Coach, the number 2 QB prospect in the state of California in class of 2026. Really tough kid. And look, it's again, as we talked about off air, this is just so far away. Just think about this off season. The Holiday Bowl was 6 months ago, 7 months ago. that feels like 3 lifetimes ago, and all the flips and the ebbs and flows, and that's only been the last 6 or 7 months. So to say, we have sort of clarity of thought 2 years from now is a tough ask in this new environment. But again, it's the 2 things are kind of universal truths. One is Lincoln Riley will never have a problem recruiting top quarterbacks. So that cupboard will always be deep with toys. And usually Lincoln does a great job of having a 3 to 4 year roadmap. So, and that's really the case here. You always kind of want to be in a position where you have enough depth at quarterback 3 years from now, 4 years from now, and that's what he's building. But again, it's kind of by design. You want 5, 6, 7 recruits over the next 4 or 5 years, and then let them compete it out. And whoever wins, you get the best of the best at that point, right? Whoever wins gets to stay in your program, gets to be your starter, gets to be your backup, and the guys that don't go into the portal. So hopefully Ryder Lyons, for his sake, is here in 26 and beats some guys out in 27 perhaps. Or, he's patient and takes the road of Miller Moss. Or, he's going to take the road of the transfer portal. But either way, I think Lincoln's being very intentional with his quarterback strategy. Look, that's home for Lincoln. That's the one position you never have to worry about with Lincoln Riley. So all good things here. But I think there's maybe not just 1 or 2 bigger fish to fry until then, but perhaps 1 or 2,000 bigger fish to fry from now until 2026.
And just to let you know, Jamal, I said tough as nails, not how I said it when I was off the air.
Yes.
If
Oh,
you caught that.
absolutely. Absolutely. Tough as nails, very
Yeah.
tough kid. I'm keeping it PG, coach, you know.
Ryan, what do you think? Rider Lions.
Yeah, no, great. Yeah, I mean, nothing, as Jamal and everyone said, like that's the position. He gets, just to clarify, because I double checked, because I wanted to be sure, but he's the number 2 overall prospect in California. Number 1 is a receiver out of Mater Dei, and then he's the number 2 quarterback in the nation.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay.
Number 1 is a Tennessee recruit out of North Carolina. So even higher trajectory, but again, a ways off. But yeah, Cali kid, and yeah, I mean, all good there. So yeah, we said it off air, but this was back in December when Lincoln flew to Manhattan to watch Will Howard, who we all thought was probably going to be the next USC quarterback. Seemed like he was going to transfer here until that was before the Holiday Bowl when Mel Moss went off. Went from Manhattan, Kansas, up to Folsom to watch Rider Lions championship game, and obviously saw enough to offer him there. So yeah, well, year and a half from now, we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
It's funny, coach. You're talking about, well, you know, he's going to come in 26, probably going to redshirt. Then he's going to have to battle it out with Maeva, perhaps, or Lewis at that point, more likely Lewis. And then, you know, he's going to be playing in 28. 28 for the fall of 2028 is the next presidential election.
Yep, next Olympics.
Presidential election. That's how far away this is. I mean, that's far away in real life, let alone in like college football land where like time is in dog years, you know. So excited, but as excited as I can be about like retirement in my life.
Yeah.
You know, that's the best way to describe it.
So real quick, now that you say that, I've been watching handball. I've been following handball extensively during this Olympic game. I saw it like the last 2, and like now I'm like extensively watching it, and like I was legit watching it. I was like, I could do this. I could get buddies together. We got 4 years to get in shape.
4 years. 4 years.
I legit called like 5 of my buddies that I played football with. I said, hey, watch it. We could do it. We could make the Olympic team. Like,
you've got the roster.
We could legit do it. And then one of my friends said, bro, in 4 years, we'll be 40 years old. I don't think we can do it.
You need to do like curling. That's the one we always try to get into. And the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
I mean, coach, I mean, the kid like Rider Lions is going to play at USC after the Olympics came and went in Los Angeles. I mean,
That's
you know,
true.
So it's we got to
He'll
wait.
be here for it. If he signs, though, he'll be here for it. If he stays, he'll be here for the ceremony.
And look, who knows? That's going to be perhaps a selling point at that point. It's like, come to the Olympics, come hang out with top-notch athletes, and you know. So, but we're a ways from that.
Please do not ever say again the next presidential election. I just don't even want to think about another
I know.
one.
I mean, but that's how far away this is, right? I mean, to put it into context. I mean, my goodness,
it legit is. And if you want to see a transformation, watch how LA is going to transform over the next 4 years. Like, it's already starting with the airport, and I know where their next moves is going. It's crazy, the transformation that people are about to see. Well,
Coach, you're not going to be happy. Yeah, I mean, you know, but you know where Olympic Village is, right?
It's at UCLA. I know that.
Yeah.
It's the only place I could fit it. I'm good with that. I'm fine with that.
Well, I didn't actually know that. That's pretty sweet.
Olympic Village is going to be at UCLA. Yeah, it worked, and it worked out because they start later, and so it won't interfere with their school.
Yep.
So
and they got all the dorms, and you know, it's kind of the Westwood Village is very sort of Olympic villagey. It's cozy, you know. So.
Nice.
So are they gonna close it all off, like everything, even like where Diddy Reese and all that stuff is?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think they're still kind of figuring it out.
Okay, yeah. Well, we know the transit system is about done, and the airport is like 2 years out. But like the next thing that's coming, like what they're gonna do with like the hotels are bidding like crazy right now for work, like. The hotel bids for construction is crazy right now. Never seen it like this before.
Well, hopefully they'll figure out those 3 abandoned high rises downtown. They're just
one of them is that one with the graffiti. They're talking about making it artwork for the city.
they're
like
just sitting there.
They're talking about preserving it and leaving it as artwork for the city, which I think is insane. But that's neither here.
Wow.
That's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, talking about a business mess up. But anyway,
Yeah, we wrapped it all up, and I appreciate you guys for coming. I appreciate you guys for listening and watching it, guys. It was so fun. How about we do it again on Thursday?
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds like a plan. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate all your fans. You guys know how it goes. Live free. Fight on.
She said, get out the chat room and clean my glad stretch. Feeling fine, so fresh.
The Glad Girl Group coming at you with a throwback jam. That was Glad Force Flex Drawstring Trash Bags featuring Pine Sol Original Scent. And that's better than all good. It's all Glad.